Hello, this is Real World Audio, and we are continuing our discovery of different cabinet materials for loudspeakers. And today I'm focusing now on how do you build a successful live cabinet and how that works with wood selection. It will not be all encompassing. I will just mention a few ideas to start somewhere because we need to finish in a reasonable time. So basically this was the previous video that I'm coming from, wood selection from loudspeaker cabinets, and I have a couple of very good comments for that. Thank you guys, awesome comments. And I would like to continue on with or maybe open up with Via's comment that you just can't have your speaker cabinet resonate like crazy and at the same time speaker driver moving together, not to have cancellation and resonance. That is not what is in the original music. End result may be 2-3 dB louder but highly colored sound, unless that is what you want from speakers. And he is absolutely right. We do not want higher that highly colored sound, and we don't want all sorts of crazy resonances. And guys, this is why I am extremely stressing at every video of mine that you need controlled resonances, and that's something absolutely critical, and that's the Achilles heel. So when you have experiences like VL, that's because you experienced live cabinets where the resonances were not controlled. So for a live cabinet to be functional, to be working, you have to control the resonances. And sadly, most loudspeakers which are active, this is not taken care of. However, if you take care of those resonances, so the cabinet does not resonate like crazy, but it resonates only with the music, then you can have success. And today we are exploring how can you make that happen, and when is the case when you go to crazy resonances and highly colored sound. What's the difference between the two? So in my other previous video, we have discovered when we are recording music, all the music recordings are defective. So basically, if you are reproducing with 100.0% accuracy of what the microphone picked up, you will absolutely, totally, utterly, and most completely fail if you want to hear violin sound. It will not be violin. You will have a quite good experience with reproducing brassy sounds and cymbals and things that are have very high frequency content, have very harsh and rapid and leading edges. But if you want to have the wooden tone, the body of an instrument, that's not going to happen, only with a diminished ratio. So if you are a musician or you want to listen to music and you are used to listening orchestras in a concert hall, and if you want to have it reproduced by your stereo, if your loudspeaker cabinet is completely inert, then it's not going to sound the same, and you have a different wooden body to string ratio for the reproduction than what occurred at the concert hall. And this is obvious for everyone who is a music lover but not an audiophile. If they listen to a very high-end system with dead loudspeaker cabinets, they will immediately tell you that this is not what they heard at the concert hall. This is a very different interpretation of the music piece, because the strings are completely off balance compared to the event, and I explained why is this happening, how is that happening. I'm not going to repeat myself, listen to it. So basically, if you want only that jazz scenario, and you want that kind of sound, you want to have precision, then the errors of the microphone will work for your benefit. So it means that you will have artificially increased speed when you use a completely inert cabinet. And that's it's those cases where when people listen to that sort of music, that when they hear live cabinets, is that's why they sound so colored and distorted, because there's just too much extra resonance added to the music. But I have to add that if those resonances are controlled and they are in harmonic relationship with the material you are listening to, then it adds extra body, extra layer and richness of tone to the music. It does the exact same thing as a violin's body adds a tone to the sound. And I think now most audiophiles will have a heart attack, because you will say that no, you absolutely must not add anything to the music. We want to hear it as pure as it happened. Now, okay, now I circle back to what I said before. You can not hear it as it happened, because the microphone is not picking it up the way it happened. You are getting the whole acoustics diminished, and you are not getting the wooden body of the instruments. And now, in my previous recording, as I said, if the ambience of that recording sucked like it was done in a studio, it works for you, it will make it sound artificially better, and there are no wooden bodies in instruments, then you will not miss that you are not hearing the wooden body instrument. Then you get the check marks for inert cabinets. However, if you want to reproduce classical music or music done by violins, guitars, cello, or any even harp, because the harp, even though it has strings, but it has a wooden body, so you need that resonator, then a live cabinet will be to your benefit. Why? And then you will say, okay, that it adds those extra wooden resonances that I do not hear with the violin. But what about a saxophone, or what about, let's say, some other instruments like a trumpet? Trumpet doesn't have a wooden body, but let me break it to you guys. When you are listening to a symphonic orchestral piece, if a trumpet, and not just if, when a trumpet player is playing with his trumpet, the sound of his trumpet is making all the wooden body instrument resonate. So if you are a violinist or a bass player or a cello player, then when you are next to that trumpet, you feel your own instrument vibrating and resonating to the sound. And that's what your live cabinet will be doing. And that's why if you have a properly built live cabinet, then it will reproduce the sound of brass instruments in an orchestral recording much more faithfully than an inert cabinet. And also, if you have an inert cabinet, it will reproduce the sound probably more faithfully if they were done for a jazz quartet, where there's no wooden instrument present, or there's no instrument that has a prominent wooden body to it. So that's why there is no good choice, no bad choice. Every technology has its upsides, has its downsides. It is your choice what to want to listen to. To me, this is just my personal preference, my listening preference, and what I keep as the yardstick to measure every performance, every recording, is an orchestral, classical, musical recording, or the real live event. Why? Because the concert halls have the most optimal acoustics for music playing, for music reproduction. orchestras have the highest levels of instrument qualities, and they are the ones, when they are recorded, the recording engineers use the least amount of invasive processing. So usually the only thing they really need to do is just adjust the volume and then just put it on the media. That's it. When something happens in the studio, they tend to process it to some certain degrees, usually quite high degrees, and nobody, or I would say very few people, get the chance to listen to what's going on in a studio. But even if you are a studio engineer yourself, your studio, your recordings will be sounding completely different than how they sound at another studio. So basically, you cannot call a studio a benchmark, because every single studio in the world sounds completely different. So you are comparing apples to sausages. It doesn't work. When you go for a concert hall acoustics, that's something much more constant in the universe, and all of us have the opportunity to visit classical music concerts, and that's why I am a huge proponent to use that as your guiding star. And here we go, that when we have a music instrument, there are the strings that are making the body resonate, but the microphone gets the string resonances very effectively, but it cannot pick up the body resonances effectively. So when you use your loudspeaker cabinets to provide those wooden resonances, they will make a much more natural, much more live presentation. And I have to say that, like for example here, VL had that comment, and I totally agree with him, because most of us, if we are trying to get loudspeakers which are commercially manufactured, when they are alive, most of them are done improperly or halfway properly, or with the explicit design criteria to make it sound highly colored. But it doesn't mean that every live cabinet must be colored. Very far from that. And what I can tell you to Via is that all my friends, everyone who tried to build cabinet for themselves, this was our experience in 100.0% of the cases. And I can tell you that almost all of us came from that viewpoint that that you are sharing with us, that we did not want colorations in the sound. And when any of us made the transition to improve the wood quality in our loudspeaker cabinets, to make it more alive, more active, as opposed to more inert, every single one of us liked the result more compared to the more inert version. And I think this is what all of you need to hear, that if every parameter is unchanged, you have the exact same loudspeaker, and you make the cabinet the same way, and when you make it lighter, it will sound better, provided you use high quality material. If you use poor quality live material, then you will have the contribution of something horrific to the sound. And that is one key of the matter. If you want to go to live cabinets, then the cabinet material quality is king. Just the same way as when you are going for violins. And that's why making violins is so hard, because you cannot just pick up any piece of wood and expect it to sound like a phenomenal violin. You need to do what you are doing with it, and you need to be able to select the wood. I have provided the wood selection criteria, what you need to look for in my videos. So I think that will be of great help to everyone. And we will look into other issues as well, and I will share how to make the resonance controlled. And this is something that I really haven't heard anyone talk about that issue, and I will go into that detail. But now our time is over. So thank you guys for tuning in. I have tons more slides here, but we just run out of time. Have an awesome day. Thank you guys for the comments. They are wonderful. Bye bye.